So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select everything. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to hit M on my keyboard or hit the rectangle tool up here. I'm just going to make a rectangle like that. That is the whole artboard. And that's just got a white stroke like the rest of the lines. Select everything and I'm just going to press Ctrl Alt X, or alternatively you can go into Object, Live Paint, Make. And this just makes it so that when you've got the paint bucket tool, which is K on your keyboard or under the shape builder tool here, it's separated every single piece into its own little blob, its own little shape. Even though you didn't draw any shapes really, you just kind of put lines. So each path intersection has made a shape, which is great. So then, so I use K on my keyboard for getting the paint bucket, and then to get the eyedropper tool, you just press I on your keyboard. And I'll just select like a lightish mid-tone color. It might be good. Fill it in with K on your keyboard. And there we go, we're free to start just kind of coloring in. So I'll just color in all the bits that I think are good for this color, all the mid-tone sort of areas. And you can see that I haven't, there's some lines going on here that haven't like made a proper shape. So there was a shadow here that I just didn't connect the lines out here. So what you can do is just, that was just K and then slash on keyboard to make the fill none. I'll just go back to N, my pencil tool, and just draw a little line here and then maybe a little line down here. Select it using your selection tool up here. Control Alt X to make it a live paint group. And then we can go back to filling in and see how it's kind of cut off that part now. Just go back to the color I just had. Here. I'm just going to fill in all the bits that I think might look good in this color. Do that one. And yeah, then to get the shading on the face, I like to double click on the little fill up here and just go just to the bottom right to get a darker shade, or just to the top left to get a lighter shade. And what that is basically doing is it's either saturating it and darkening it, or desaturating it and lightening it. So you get the same sort of color, but it's just a tiny bit lighter or a tiny bit darker, and it doesn't look crazy. So this one's just a little bit darker. I'm just going to go through and do some little shadows here. You can do as many different shades as you want. I'll just do however many I feel like. And you can see I've got a little, these tiny gaps here are filled in with stroke. That's up in the live paint options, so gap options. And so you can change it to be as big or small gaps as you want, and it'll fill it in with a path, and then you can like separate those different sections. So if you want to only stop at small gaps, you can do that, or if you want to make large gaps fill in with a stroke, you can do that too, or you can make your own amount. I just have medium, I think. Yeah, and then yeah, I'm just going to keep going through and just coloring in where I feel like it. This one might be nice with that color. And I usually do all the shadows first and then the highlights last. That's not for any particular reason, it's just the way I do it. To do the highlights, I'm just selecting the main color of the midtone, going back into my little color picker and just going in the top left of that color. And then I'll just fill in all the highlights as I see them. With the eyes, I like to just eyedropper it and see what kind of tone the shadows, the highlights are. And then once I found it, it's usually a cooler color because it's coming from the sky usually. So I just take it down to a more warmer color on this side of the little bar. That just makes it feel a lot more warm and inviting, in my opinion. So I just go through and do all the highlights for the eyes. And then I'll go back and do the same thing I did before, where I'll just go slightly darker. And I'll use the same colors for the eyebrows as I do for the hair. So got this little highlight here, I might put a little highlight here, and then I'll have some shadows in the hair too, so I'll just take that a little bit darker. And just fill those in. And we're kind of seeing the final product come to life a little bit now. Do the lips. And you can do whatever you want, so this is very customizable. You can make whatever you like, whatever colors you like, whatever patterns you like, if you want to do that. I'm just going to leave it plain so that we can look at our face more. Okay, so zooming out, which is just, you just press Alt and then scroll down on your mouse. You can see that it looks pretty good, but it looks a bit weird because she's got lines all over her face. So then what I like to do is I just click on it, select the stroke and just turn it off. And this is the final portrait. So after you've done that, you can go and make a little box behind it, which is just Control Shift and then the left square bracket, which make it go to the back of this layer. And yeah, so that's just a little drawing. You can make this whatever color you want. You could, oops, that's the stroke. You could add whatever, you know, graphics or text or, you know, whatever you want to do, patterns. It's all completely up to you. And yeah, so that's the final drawing. If there's anything you're not happy with, so say my highlights are looking a bit funny, they're like more pinkish than the rest of the skin tone. I'm just gonna jump in here and just try and find a better, lighter color that'll work as my highlight. See, that's a bit better. It's more of a yellow tone than a pink tone. It's also a bit more vibrant. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think I might just tone that down a little bit. It's all just playing around really, just trying to find what you like, what you think looks good. Highlights can be tough to get good, like to make them look nice, because sometimes they just look a bit funny and you're like, well, what am I supposed to do about this? But it's just a lot of trial and error and seeing if you like it.